Hello and welcome to this new video where we'll be discussing how to make Windows software run on Mac. So many are using macOS software because they prefer the environment. Then the issue is that when you need to use Windows software on your Mac, then it becomes complicated. Sometimes you have to make that run in a virtual machine or use Parallels or that kind of solutions, which can be a bit costly and can hurt the performance or the speed, if you wish, of the program that you're running. So we'll be looking at a solution today that's a program called Crossover, and it enables you to work directly in your Mac with Windows softwares. And you'll see it's very interesting for translators, and the app that I'll be presenting is not very expensive, so that's something that will be useful. So the journey in this video will start by looking at how this application works. It's called Crossover, and we'll see what it can do. We'll see Windows software running on it directly. I'll give you a few tips on how you can make sure that your apps will be compatible, and at the very end I will give more technical details for those of you that are more confident using more advanced features. So let's get right into it. Okay, so when you're looking at Crossover, you get the top 10 apps that are used by people, and you get a rating. So basically the idea of the rating is telling you whether the level of success that you will have using your app through Crossover. So let's say you want to use a popular app, so you can type its name in there, for example 7-zip, and you can select it, and you could directly install it from there. There's also some other apps that you may know. Let's say you're looking at Notepad++. Okay, so it's very easy to install. So if I'll just demonstrate it with Notepad++. So you select it. You can see that here everything is already ticked and looks correct. So you can just directly click on install. And what Crossover will do is it will create what it calls a bottle. A bottle is basically a virtual disk, and it's going to place your program in it and install it. The structure within the bottle with the folder structure and everything looks like the same as if it was on a PC, and then it will enable your app to run. And as you can see, so now I'm landing on the installer window within the Mac, which is very useful. So you just go through the setup wizard, and you can see here it's going to install it in my bottle in a standard Windows location, although it's installed directly inside macOS. And here we are. That's Notepad++ installed and opened in my Mac. Okay, so it's all working fine. And so what you can do is basically, if you close it, as long as you have Crossover running in the background, well, you will be able to bring back the app if you keep it in the dock, clicking from here, or you just access your home and you will have your shortcut, and you just double click on it and it will open Notepad++ for you. So that's very easy. For pre-selected apps like that, you just install them directly and they will be able to run on your machine. Let's go to the steps installing, for example, WordFast.
What's going on? I've just been told that you're not subscribed to the channel. It's free and it motivates me to make more videos. Please subscribe.
Installing, for example, WordFast converter in Crossover. So it's not listed in it, so we will have to make a manual installation. And to do that, what we need to do is to go click on install. And we don't use the search option. Here we go to this blue link. And in here, we have to make sure that these two steps here are satisfied. Okay, so let's first create a new bottle. We go here, click on Edit, and we will assign it a new name. And it is ideal to use the same name as the app you will be running, because it is preferable to use one bottle per application that you will be running. And now we can decide here the type of operating system. So here we can go with the standard Windows 10 64-bit. Okay, so we're done with that, and now we have that selected. And now what we need to do is give it the program that it needs to install. In this case, it's WordFast Converter. WordFast Converter doesn't need to install. It's just an executable, so we'll use this way. Okay, so I have downloaded it. Okay, so I'll navigate to it now and add this application. So I go to my downloads. Okay, WordFast Converter is here, and I will select the 64 version. It's always best to use 64 bits programs, because on newer Macs, 32 bits is not accepted. So let's select that, so 64-bit, and let's choose this installer. And now we're ready to click on install. Okay, so this is done. Took about between 20 to 30 seconds, and it's done. So now I can test it. For Windows applications, I recommend that if you need to grab a file, use stuff that is on your desktop, on your Mac. That will be far easier. So at the beginning, it may not want to allow access to the file, so you just double click here at the top and it will bring this dialog, which I just clicked on, and then you follow the standard path to get to your desktop. And here you can see this file, which is actually back on the desktop, this fella over here. So let me select it and click on open, and now I can try to run WordFast Converter on this massive file. Okay, I had paused the video because this took a while. As you see here, this was over 1 million translation unit file, but it did it without crashing. So it took a while, maybe 10 minutes to do it. But there were a lot of translation units in it, over 1 million. And we see here the result. It's that translation memory, which here is correctly created. So this worked. If your app is very easy to install, that's all you will have to do, and you will then see that the installation is finished, and it will be added here in your home section. But if we look closely, we see that the installation here did not fully finish, and I'm going to show you a trick. So let's close WordFast Converter. Okay, so now it's closed and the installation finishes, but we see no applications were found in this bottle. Wow, it didn't work then? Yes, it did, but we just need to give extra information. So what we need to do is just click on Run Command, and here we are just going to tell Crossover where is the .exe WordFast Converter file located. Now we'll just go and grab it in the downloads because it's super easy, and if you always leave the WordFast Converter folder in your downloads, that will be working fine. Now if you want to do it more organized, then you will place it somewhere else in your computer. So let's just browse to the downloads, select WordFast Converter, WordFast the 64, and then select WordFast Converter .exe. I open it, and now we have a button at the bottom which is called Save Command as a Launcher, and I'm going to click on this Save Command as a Launcher, and I can click on Run. Okay, and now we are good to go. So now I can close this here, and now the icon of WordFast converter has been added here. So now I can just close it. And every time I want to use my WordFast converter application, I would just double click on it. I may have to wait a few seconds and give it an OK to a warning, but it will open as it did now. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Okay, so when you open Crossover and you've installed the apps that you want to use on it, you can just open it. And on the home, you will have all the apps that you have already installed. And they are available just with a double click from this view here. So here I can even test using SynchroTerm from Terminotics to extract terms from bytext here. Okay, so let's see if it will work. Here we are, it worked. So all my terms were extracted successfully. So that's good. It was a big task and it performed it no problem directly on this Mac. Now I can test exporting this and we'll see if it exports directly on my Mac. So let's give that a go. And here, my Mac desktop, and I'll be calling that term-based CSV, which is fine. And let's save it. So this is here, and it's directly available on my Mac. So it worked perfectly. Okay, so now that I'm finished with using this app, I can just exit it as I would any other application on the Mac. So I select here SynchroTerm and quit, and that's it. It's closed. So when you're comparing Crossover with other options for you to run Windows app on Macs, one of those that are interesting is the speed. So because you're not making this run in a virtual machine, you will get more speed. Now, Crossover is priced very reasonable, and you have a link in the video description so that you can get Crossover. I suggest you use it. It will help me, of course, but it will also help you, because if they know where you come from, this channel is dedicated more. So on the website, you can also check whether your app is compatible. So you go here and you click on compatibility, and in this box here you place the name of, and the community will have made here some tests and will tell you if an app works well or not. And sometimes they even publish what they call a recipe, which helps you to install it more easily. One of the things you can do to install an app to make your life simpler is check whether there's already something prepared for you in there. So let's say you have an old Microsoft Office edition that runs normally on PC, but you'd like to use it here on your Mac. So let's say you have an old version of Microsoft Office that runs on PC. Maybe you have kept the CD-ROM or something like that, and you want to use it on your Mac. So let's give that a try. So we will write here Microsoft Office, and we'll test with this one, Microsoft Office 2010, which is supposed to run great. So let's try that. So here, what happens is that there's already a recipe installed. So everything for the bottle is already pre-configured. The only thing that you need to do is provide the installer file. So basically, if that's on a disk or if that's a file that you have somewhere, you place it inside your Mac, and with this edit button, you will navigate to it and give it to Crossover so that it can use it for install. And then you just click on install, and that will use all the resources that are here plus the install file that you have added, and then you can add your license code once everything is running. So if you're trying to install something but it doesn't work, then you can go to the troubleshooting here steps, and I'll paste this page in the video description. And of course, if you are a paying customer, you can contact the crossover support and they will help you. But here, one basic idea is to go here and click on this here to download what is called the kitchen sink archive. It's basically a bottle that has every Windows component that can be needed, or most of them anyway. So it will use more space because it's a bigger bottle, but it will have already pre-configured a lot of things in it. So that gives you more chances that your app will work right out of the box. It did help me in some situations. So here, yeah, that's a good suggestion. So you just download that, okay? And once you have it downloaded in your Mac somewhere, you can decide to use that for a bottle. And what you do, you go into bottle, you select import bottle archive, and you will navigate on your Mac until you reach the location where you've downloaded that, probably in your downloads. And then you just add to it the location in edit here of the installer of the app you're trying to install. And then you just click on install. So that will install it. So now we'll look at more advanced things you can do with Crossover to help you make sure that an app will be running. So one of the things you can do when you're here on home, you click on install. And here you will click on install an unlisted application. So you will give it a new bottle. Okay, let's make it a Windows 11 environment. Of course, you will have here to define what is the installer file. And here at the top, near the install button, that is where you will get more options. So you select advanced options. And in here, you will be able to ask to create a log file. So if it keeps on having issues with the log, you will be able to troubleshoot it. And then you can click here on the plus sign. And that allows you to select specific Windows dependencies that are already pre-loaded here, so that you can just select them to add them. So let's say I want to use this one. Okay, C++ 2010, add, and it is listed here. Okay, it comes alone. Some of them, when you select them, a bunch of them come at the same time because they all need each other. So that's something that you can need. You can also decide to add here the kitchen sink. Okay, so all these dependencies that we've talked about before, they can be installed also this way. So you can force install that here. So if you decide to add the kitchen sink or any of those in your bottle, they will all be installed before your specific Windows software will be installed. So that will start with all these dependencies first, and you will need to be close to the computer because you will get all those installers that will open, ask you to accept stuff, and so you will need to be near your computer to say yes, yes, and keep going forward. More things you can do. You can here, when you are in your bottle that is already created, you can browse the C drive. So that's the Windows folder structure for the C drive. It's created as on a Windows computer, so you will be able to navigate things and play with it if you know what you're doing. You can also use run command, okay? So you can add here things that you want to do. You can add commands that will happen when this starts. You can also use this pod to do as we did with WordFast converter to select the location of the .exe file so it can be saved as a launcher. You can also use more things here to configure. So for example, if your app needs a reboot, you can click on this here to simulate a reboot if you were rebooting your Windows PC. You can also use here wine configuration, which is pretty great. So this here will allow you to do many things. One of the things you can do in the libraries here is decide if you will use the native Windows option or the built-in that has been created specially for crossover. So you can change these things here. And that's only some of the things you can do. I won't go into more details, but there's a lot you can play with to try to make your Windows app work.